Real life intervened this weekend with the back-to-back openings of the plays Hay Fever in the last 5 years, and as I'm one of the last theater critics left in this town that covers community theater, my editor turned on the Mr. Welch signal, so off I went. Fortunately, both plays were good, so I can't complain there, but now I'm late on this review, which is why I'm going to break my streak of reviewing good things, because this week, for the 50th episode of Welcome to Mystara, we're going to talk about arguably the worst module in the Becmi line, if not the entire D&D series, XL1, Quest for the Heartstone. This is a tie-in module for the LJN toyline, and it shows. You're going to hear the phrase, "You may use this dragon monster produced by LJN Toys Limited for this encounter," more than once in this review. Written in 1984 by Michael L. Gray, who was best known for giving us Fortress America, Shogun, and most importantly, Dream Phone. He was also the guy at TSR that hired Tracy Hickman, so he's indirectly responsible for Ravenloft and Dragonlance. So with that long and storied list of successes, he was allowed one misfire. And Heartstone was that misfire. The module repeatedly asks you to use the toy line as miniatures while you play, and remember, these toys are about the size of He-Man, the old, cool, beefy burrito of manlyhood He-Man, not these skinny, girly new He-Man models. The module was written for levels 5 to 10, so if you want to use your own characters, you could, but you would be cheating yourself of the ultimate joy of the module, as the entire toy line is statted out for you. I know this is the 1980s, so we remember some of the really weird tastes back then, but man, we also had some awesome toys. The D&D toys were no exception. They even had the Tarrasque as a wind-up toy. Tiamat was, and still is, the most desired of all the toys, though sadly most of the toy you can find nowadays are broken. All the action figures are present in this module. After reading their names off, it sounds like they were named by Jack Chick. You can play the good guy, Strongheart, the lawful paladin, Elkhorn, the dwarven mercenary, Mercion, the cleric, Ringleron, Elfstar, Perale, Figgin, Molivar, Hockler, the ranger, Deeth, Beaumark, the other ranger, and Valkyr, the barbarian. If you want to be the bad guys, pick from Grimsword, the evil fighter, Zargosh, Kellic, the always popular war duke, Scylla, Zorgar, Blackleaf, Drex, and Zarek. And if you didn't notice, I snuck in Elfstar and Blackleaf from the Dark Dungeons Chick track. It's okay, because those names were just as cliche as the toys. So go ahead and grab some pre-generated characters and get ready to adventure. They even mix and match the characters in the rather good Jeff Easley artwork. There's Warduke listening to the pitch while he works with the good guys as if it were a day job. Only he's the guy that eats other people's food from the fridge, so if your chicken salad goes missing, it's the guy with the cool helmet. So don't be Warduke, guys, even if he does have a cool hat. So you pick your character, get your corresponding 5-inch action figure, and get ready to play. The action opens up with a lot of expository dialogue. In the magical land of Gyr, everyone was happy and joyous because good King Ganto kept the peace and the nation prospered. He married the much younger and attractive Queen Lyra and promptly snuffs it, because that's how marriages with 50-year-old age differences tend to end. So now Lyra has to get a new husband that requires the Heartstone to tell her who to marry, because she's so lawful good she just can't find a guy, declare him king, and just lie to the people about what the Heartstone said. So she calls together all the great heroes of the realm to find the Heartstone so she can just get a little. Cue a quarter page of expository dialogue. To skip a bit, you go to the Mountains of Ice, where the evil Danacris the Master Thief stole the crown 50 years ago. Seriously, they know where he is and don't do anything about it for half a century. Thus begins one of the most railroadiest railroads ever written. You will march through the mist of the northern marsh, where you will be attacked constantly by a lot of monsters from the toy line, including troglodytes, hobgoblins, and the terrible troll action figure, until you come to the Perils of Ice Waterfalls, where the first railroad ends and the second one begins. There you will be attacked by giants, salamanders, a dragon, and of course dragons. You may use the dragon monster produced by LJN Toys Limited for this encounter. After that encounter, you get to the end where you are attacked by, of course, the carrion crawlers. You may use the carrion crawler monster produced by LJN Toys Limited for this encounter. Finally, you find the Mountain of Ice after you've encountered every single monster in the order presented. It's just one combat encounter after another, wash, rinse, and repeat. In the module's defense, it's obviously they're showing off the toy line, so if you're expecting anything else, you're gonna have a bad time. So you get to the dreaded mountains, and inside you go, where you are immediately put on another railroad, so strap in, hold on, and enjoy the ride. There are a ton of traps, spooky encounters, and plenty of hook horrors everywhere. You may use the hook horror monster produced by LJN Toys Limited for this encounter. Again, this is room-to-room dungeon crawling and keeping the treasures as you go. So there's not much of a plot in the module. You just keep killing things until you get to the villain, then you find the MacGuffin. The monsters are obviously thrown in because they're in the toy line. Walk into a cave, you get attacked by a Hydra. Of course, the next line after the Hydra is, you may use the 5-headed Hydra bendable monster produced by TSR Incorporated for this encounter. It's fairly obvious as the monsters don't even have a reason why they're there. There's no rhyme or reason how they got there or what they're doing. This is not Elminster's ecology. There's a lot of traps, and most of the traps are the sending you into a room with a monster variety. They really want you to fight all these monsters with the characters provided. The funny part is that the characters aren't even in the least bit balanced. If you want to play an evil fighter, Warduke, evil fighter, is a solid level 8, where Zargar, evil barbarian, is sneaking in at a paltry level 5. Drex, evil warrior, splits the difference slightly at level 6, but people are still going to want to play Warduke. I mean, seriously, look at that helmet. Why would you not want to play him? The good guys are even stranger. You can play Strongheart, good paladin, who comes in at level 10, which is awesome until you notice that he put his 17 in charisma, leaving his strength at 13. The rest of the fighter types come nowhere near level 10, except for Perils, fighter mage elf, who is also level 10. And for those keeping track at home, a 10th level elf in Becmi needs 600,000 XP, where a 10th level fighter like Strongheart, good paladin, only needs 36,000 XP. Molivar, lawful thief, to compare, is only level 8, requiring 60,000 XP. So that elf has twice the experience points as the most powerful character that's next in line, and 10 times that of the lower tier pregenerated characters. Balance is not an important focus in this book. The module is what you would expect to see watching Stranger Things, because the party is walking along and suddenly the DM slams the next monster they see on the table, screaming, "Now you face the raging roper," and then you roll for initiative. That's the complexity of the module. It's just one encounter after another. You want to fight all the monsters in the monster manual in a single sitting? This is the module you want. There's very little dialogue. It's the most hack and slash module probably ever written. The module throws every toy they ever made at you. You're going to be attacked by dragons 3 times in this module with no apparent reason. Most of the monsters you're going to come across existed as the toy during the 80s, with the exception of the gray ooze that you're going to be encountering quite a lot. So for that, just use gravy from the mashed potatoes. The funny part is that these action figures are 5 inches tall, which is several times more than your typical miniature. So you're going to have to increase all the maps and scenery by 3 to 5 times to compensate. You can see the problem suggesting that you use action figures instead of the normal Ralpartha miniatures of the day. So they did miss a wonderful opportunity by not having a tie-in with the cartoon that came out a year prior to this module. So, because who doesn't want to play Hank or Sheila, Bobby, Diana, Presto, or Eric? Okay, maybe not Eric, because even though while he complained the most, he was often right about his complaints and still nobody listened to him. I said that this was one of the worst Becmi modules ever written, and the initial reviews reflected that. It really doesn't add anything new. It's there to promote toy lines, and it's obvious. Much like White Plume Mountain, it's really on a rail, so you can take one fork or another to get to the bad guy, but all paths lead to the same place. There's not much dialogue, you can't get lost, and you're going to have to fight everything. A lot of people have a soft spot in their hearts for this module because of its cheese factor, and there's a lot of cheese in the module. The name of half the characters alone sound like extras from Masters of the Universe. So much of the module seems to be written on a dartboard. You've got 20 pre-generated characters in a module calling for 8 players. Kellic, the evil wizard, has a strength score equal to or greater than 8 of the 10 fighters presented. Elkhorn, good dwarf warrior, has a strength score of 9. Try to have a fighter with a strength of 9 today. Zarak, evil half-orc assassin, in a game with no half-orcs, has a dex of 12 and a wisdom of 15. Half of the module seems like it was written using Mad Libs. All that being said, Jeff Easley's art in this module is top-notch. While the writing was somewhat slapdash, the art was some of the best Easley has ever done. There's a good chance that he already had this art waiting for a module to put it in, and this is the one they used. There's a picture of a chimera flying over a hydra swimming in the ocean, and what looks like a beholder behind them, even though there isn't a beholder-style monster in the module. Hydras and chimeras you get in abundance, just no beholders of any kind. Guess which one they didn't make a toy for. The art is some of the best in any module. Even the toy characters drawn as D&D characters is superb. Now there's a chance he also didn't like working on the module, but that's just a hunch. So if you're looking to grab this module, you are in luck. The module is dirt cheap compared to so many more. You can find good copies on eBay for only $20, and there are a lot to choose from. If you have to be cheap, you can get the PDF for $5 online, but why be cheap? Paper is so much better, and you get the hard cardboard map as a screen, so you don't have to map anything out. Spend the $20, buy the hard copy, don't be cheap. It's already cheap enough as it is, and considering the last few modules I've reviewed have been closer to a C-note each, it's refreshing to find something inexpensive. If you want to convert this to 5th edition, just plug and play. Just take the monster out from the Becmi, put in the monster from the 5th edition. This module is in no way concerned about balance. Open one door and you're attacked by 5 Hydras. A few doors down, it's 24 Sturges. You'll have to create the monsters not in 5th edition. There are quite a few in the module, especially the Dragones. Somebody had a hard-on for Dragones in this module because you run into them at least 3 times. You've got to convert several golems, including wood and bronze, as well as the, spoiler alert, famous mirror match where you fight your evil or good clones, which makes me wonder, if you're doing this party recommended, why not just take out Warduke when he's facing his good clone, and then you have good Warduke in the party now. Also, convert the pregens to 5th edition, which you just absolutely should do, because you need to keep Kellic at 15 strength, so when the party goes to recruit him so they can go on this quest, they find him lifting weights and reading over his spell book at the same time. This guy's the original muscle mage. Bonus points if you replace all the models for He-Man scale toys just for this module alone. So that's Quest for the Heartstone. It's goofy, it's extremely linear, and it's the plot is almost tacked on. Lyra, that's a queen's name, Lyra. The characters provided have stats generated from just guessing what the toy had. It's begged to be played on silly mode. If you're looking for an intriguing module with a gripping storyline, this ain't it. If you want to take a rocket ride through the nostalgic 80s, then slap down the $20 and get started. Play up the cheese factor. Remember, the pregens aren't even remotely close to being balanced. The more this resembles an 80s Saturday morning cartoon, the better. If you're mixing good and evil characters, remember that evil has to be petty. So all of Strongheart's rations are going to have bites taken out of them, and Warduke's not going to know anything about that. So this wraps up all the X modules. I'm going to jump probably into the shortest module I reviewed next with the very first one, B1, In Search of the Unknown. That's right, the fill-in-the-blank module. But until next week, remember, you may use the Dragon monster produced by LGN Toys Limited for this encounter.